Hello guys, we're going to be doing another episode of Upside Down Magic, Sticks and Stones, and we're about to read chapter 2, so let's get on with the video. Bax's head hurt, his feet hurt, his arms hurt, even his earlobes hurt. Why did it hurt so much after he fluked? Bax never knew what went on when he was a rock. Other flukesters kept their human minds when they changed into animal forms. Well, most of the time, keeping control of your human mind was an important flukester technique. But Bax had zero control over anything when he fluked. He hated it. Bax remembered running to school and he remembered tripping after that. Everything was blank. Now he found himself in the nurse's office. Good morning, good morning, Nurse Riley said, smiling. Bax blinked and tried to get his bearings. He was sitting on a cot. A scratchy blue blanket was draped over his shoulders, and his tongue felt slimy. It was because of the Birtle box, the icky green potion Nurse Riley used to turn him back into a boy. Bax hated Birtle box. It tasted like rotten lettuce. And how did it end up in his mouth? Nurse Riley applied it to Bax with a paintbrush. Nurse Riley was cool, though. He had sideburns and an easy grin, and he acted as if it were perfectly normal to paint Bax with green, smelly stuff on a daily basis. You fluked on the way to school, Nurse Riley said. Who brought me here? Norrie Horace delivered you in an old-time baby carriage, if you can believe it. A baby carriage? Wasn't that resourceful? Norrie got it from her aunt's garden. Her aunt used it to hold potted plants. Bax had been in Norrie's backyard. Now he noticed the carriage in the corner of the room. It was just as he remembered it, large and curved with spindly wheels. Norrie had pushed him to school in it. She'd pushed him to school like a doll. I might throw up, he said. Nurse Riley handed him the trash can. I could get you a Jell-O cup if you like to settle your stomach. That's okay. Bax waited till the nausea passed. Then he stood up. The blue blanket slid off him. I should go to class. Ah, yes, you should, says Nurse Riley. He clapped Bax on the back. I'll see you this afternoon, most likely, Bax moaned. Nurse Riley put his hand to his heart and staggered back, pretending to be wounded. I never mind a visit from you, Bax. You're one of my favorite patients. It's not you. It's just I'm turning into a rock more than ever. I don't know. You did the leash that one time, and Mrs. Starr says you're making good progress. She says your headstands are getting stronger. She is crazy about headstands for kids with upside down magic, said Bax. Someone should get her a headstand for her birthday. Nurse Riley laughed. Bax left the infirmary and walked slowly to class. The halls were lined with bright red fire extinguishers to keep flare problems in line. Neatly printed signs were everywhere. No fires except in the flare lab. Reckless flying prohibited. Fuzzies may not bring mice, rats, or snakes to school without written permission. Bax spotted a couple of new school spirit posters on the lockers. There were sign-ups for the Dunwell Kitten Ball team and another after-school club's flyball. Instead, invisible diving, Bax passed the regular 5th grade flukester class and saw students sitting at their desks. Taking notes, regular flukesters were expected to master a black kitten within the first month. After that, they worked on adding colors to the kittens. Calico, ginger, tabby, and so on. Persians are difficult because of their long fur. Bax heard the teacher say long fur requires sustained control, and of course it's hard to keep neat. Bax paused at the edge of the door. He watched the teacher climb onto a table in her human form. Is everyone watching? She flicked smoothly into a fluffy white Persian with a squished face. Then she flicks back. She flattened facial features. The flattened facial figures take practice, she said. And that leads me to your homework for tonight. Bax trudged on. He would never be in that class. He would probably never flicks into the simplest black kitten. The other flicksers would never stop thinking he was weird. At the far end of the hall was a giant glass collection jar labeled Pennies for Potions. It was a school-wide charity drive that had been going on for a week. Kids brought in their spare pennies, and when the jar was full, the school would donate the money to fund potions for a medical clinic in a poor neighborhood. Bax fished in his pockets, but came up empty. Sheesh! He'd meant to bring pennies, but he'd forgotten. He promised himself he'd come in a little earlier and bring some tomorrow. There was a big spare cheese bowl on the kitchen counter at home, and Bax was sure his dad wouldn't mind him taking a handful of pennies. When he got to the upside-down magic classroom, he found Mrs. Starr swirling a hula hoop around her waist. She wore a hot pink blouse and matching sneakers. You concentrate with your body, not your mind, she said as Bax walked in. There was a pile of colorful plastic hoops on the carpeted area of the classroom, just like headstands. Mrs. Starr said, still hooping. At first you think, then you do, but with practice you begin to do without thinking. It's a wonderful way to connect to your own unique magic. Mrs. Starr was always having them do things that seemed strange and silly. Headstands, interpretive dance, balancing poses, deep breathing, trust exercises, and sharing their feelings. Secretly, Bax admired her a lot, but he tried to be cool and not show it. Mrs. Starr waved at Bax to say hello, but didn't interrupt the lesson to ask him where he'd been. Probably because she already knew. Nori had lightly told the entire class about how she'd heroically rescued Bax in a baby carriage. His skin grew hot. How many people had seen him in it? Bax dropped into a seat and tried to stop thinking about it. He glanced around. Besides him and Nori, there were only 4 UDM kids in class today. Andres floated on the ceiling. He was an upside-down flyer. Sebastian saw invisible things. He was an upside-down flicker. Pepper frightened animals. She was an upside-down fuzzy. Marigold shrank things. Nobody knew what marigold was. There were 2 students missing. Elliot, an upside-down flare who made ice, and Willa, an upside-down flare who made it rain indoors. Mrs. Starr talked more about the symbolism of circles. Then she made all the students stand up and get hula hoops. There was room for everyone in the carpeted section of the classroom. Hey, Bax, Nori said in a low voice. You feeling better? Bax pretended he hadn't heard. Bax, can I tell you something? She persisted. We're supposed to be hula hooping, said Bax. I put a towel over you and brought you in the back door of the school. You what? Nori shrugged. I would hate it if I fluked and couldn't change back, and I would hate it even more if someone saw me arriving at school like that. I figured you wouldn't want anyone to see you in the carriage. Oh, this is how she says it. C-A-R-R. Look it up. This is how she says it. C-A-R-R-I-A-G-E. Everyone here can spell carriage, Nori. Okay, but nobody saw. That's all I wanted to tell you. Bax knew he should say thank you, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he said, You've never gotten stuck. You're always able to fluke back and after you turn into something. Nori paused for a second. Then she said, Did I tell you that once I fluxed into a puppy with squid legs? Ew! I smeared squidding all over my dad's slippers. Then I chewed them. I attached myself to the bathroom wall and squirted ink at my brother, too. Nori, back, said Mrs. Star. Less lips, more hips. That's a good rhyme. Get hooping. Both Nori and Bax picked up their hoops, but Bax couldn't focus on his mind-body connection, or whatever it was Mrs. Star was hoping they'd work on. The only thing on his mind was that he'd pick Puppy with squid legs over Rock any day. No contest. And that's all I'm going to be reading today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. This is part 2 of Upside Down Magic. Bye!